Get set, go. Come on. What does the broom make you do?
It's stiff though.
Well, what does the broom, look at her, what does the broom make you do?
Get low.
There you go.
Is there a penalty for her wearing boots?
Was there a penalty for you wearing sweatpants? That's what I thought.
There is.
Oh. Go, Lucas, go.
You guys are going.
Set, go.
In this lab, we learned how to relate the formulas we used in class during an activity we did. We learned how to work together to try and beat other teams and use the information we learned in class to do so. We could not have completed the lab without the help of other group members, making us have to learn how to work together. People may not have learned without being hands-on, and now they could have learned all the concepts that we learned in class more thoroughly than we did before.
Learning these skills we used in this lab can only help us with other problems that we will come across. In our lives, we might have to move large objects, remembering inertia, momentum, and friction. These problems might be easier to overcome. Sports and other activities can become easier if you use this information we have learned in class. We also learned that lowering our center of gravity will help with our balance, allowing us to accelerate and decelerate faster. Many students play sports and now will be able to relate the things we learned in this lab to the sport.
There were many formulas that we used in this lab. Although there was no math involved in the actual lab during the activities, we were used concepts that we learned in physics without realizing it. Velocity, momentum, inertia, friction, law of conservation of energy, center of gravity, work in, impulse, kinetic energy, angular momentum, centripetal force, and torque are all concepts that we used in the lab. We need to understand all of these formulas to be able to understand why the bowling ball is moving the way it does and how we did complete the lab.
There are many things we could have done to get better results. If we wanted to get better times, we could have practiced more often so we could get a feel for it. We went into the course not knowing how the ball would move, and it took us some time to adjust. We also could have all dressed better, wearing sneakers to make it easier to run the course than boots or flip-flops. Getting a short broom with stiff bristles would have made it easier to move the ball. If we had more than one person looking for penalties, it might have given us a better result. With all the materials and time, we had the best results we could have gotten. Also, understand before the lab began that all the concepts we learned throughout the year would be a part of this lab, and knowing that might have given us better results.
Our lab group consisted of Caitlin, Willie, Lucas, and me. Caitlin did the procedure, edited, observations, the course, and rules. Willie did the rules, the procedure, and the conclusion. Lucas did the observation and took pictures. I assigned tasks, title, the materials, the purpose, observations, concepts, conclusion, edited the video, and the race times.
The likes of this lab were we liked that it was more hands-on, we liked there was little to no math, we liked it was competitive, we liked that it was applicable to life, and we liked that we were the #1 team in our class having the fastest time. The dislikes of this lab were we disliked it took away from our vacation time, and we disliked that there were a lot of concepts to grasp.
This lab was similar to other labs because we had our working groups. Also, it changed our learning to a kinesthetic way as it did in other labs. This enabled us to use our hands, and we worked with our four-dimensional world instead of staying on paper. This made it so it was more fun, as though it was like a relay race in a gym class. This lab was different than any other. We had to depend on others to do the jobs, because none of us could just take the broom and do the whole course by ourselves. It would take a team effort. If the lab had to do with measurements, one person could have done all the work, but in this lab, everyone had to participate. Usually we do not do a relay sort of lab, but in this lab it was exciting to do so. It made it so it was more fun to complete the lab.
We think this is a great lab to keep for next year. Not only did this really help us understand the formulas and information we learned in class, but it was also fun. Finally, we are able to get out of our seats and do something that's competitive and fun. Making learning fun like this will only make us enjoy physics more.
Get that momentum going, it's hard to control it. Nice. Oh, second penalty. Oh, take a penalty on any ball. Oh, shit. Nice.
Come on, Willie. Come on, Willie.
Gotta go around again. Good. Oh, penalty, penalty. That's it. Keep going.
Dre, move. Run! Dre, killed it.
Hold him.
Woo!
Guys, slow down, slow down, slow down. Kick Caitlin.
Booty.
Move Caitlin to the lunchroom.
Do the legs.
You guys hold up. I just go. What? I go around that twice and I just back like this.
My daughters have bigger legs than you.
Burn.
Such a skinny little spider.